Oh, yeah. The early one. Around 10, I think.
Oh, so
Yeah.
you'll be out of here like by
Yeah.
8.
8, 7, 8. Yeah. Yep.
You're 2 hours ahead of me.
Oh, are there a lot of people kind of? Yeah. Right. Yep.
We're lost without it.
Yeah, I know. Try it, but yeah.
But yeah, it's nice to be here.
Yes. Aw, so many familiar faces. This will be nice. Hello. How are you? Nice to meet you. Thanks. Hi. Nice to meet you too. And I'm like, can we all just like sit in a circle and just have a powwow? What's that? Just I know. Just well, you can tell by my paper. I was laughing yesterday. I went to Amy Hose's thing, and it was like size 11 font, all these things, and I was like, oh my god, this looks like a kindergartner did it.
Well, you just know that some of the rest of
Bigger, right? See, this is like 16 font, so I was thinking about our group. Ugh. Okay.
I wish I would have. I know I wish I would have taken a picture of the diagrams. Yes. Yeah, I got that one too. But it's still, I mean, that's still fairly.
How are you? Good. All right.
So good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here. A couple of housekeeping things before I introduce Jackie. If you haven't been down the hallway with the vendors, please take a moment to go down there because they're here supporting us and it helps us to show some interest in them and they have some good things to check out. So that's number one. Number two, all of this is being recorded. So if you don't really have to take notes on everything. So all of this is going to be posted up on our website, and you'll have access to all of the workshops. So make that a little bit easier. So it's a little extra special for me to make this introduction. Some of you know, some of you may not. I'm Jackie's dad. So we've lived the mental mom. A mom to Logan and Lucy. She's a wife, and yet she knows and has experienced what it's like to handle the triple challenge. And a little bit of irony here, so we talk about the mental load. I volunteered her to do this. So I'm an example of outside factors adding to your mental load.
Thank you, Dad.
So I think you'll enjoy her presentation.
Thank you, Dad. Thank you. Thank you. Well, first, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be up here. I know so many of you could actually be in my place doing this too, so thank you for this opportunity. I hope that so far your weekend's been amazing. I know the first conference I went to, it was just left on such a high, and so I hope that you guys will do the same. This conference obviously is about Mowat-Wilson syndrome. We're learning the latest research and best practices for our kids, but we, the caregivers, are such an important piece of the puzzle, a big part of the equation. And so I thought it was important that we had something for the caregivers and for us to focus on. So ChatGPT helped me come up with this title, the Triple Challenge, Managing the Physical, Mental, and Emotional Load of Caring for a Loved One with Special Needs. But I guess they did their research because they also came up with this one. And I said, they really understand MWS. So, but in all seriousness, what we're going to talk about today, we're going to start with just kind of defining those three loads. Then we will talk about some practical ways to lighten the load, not get rid of the load, but to lighten it. And we'll have some opportunity. I think it's important that we have time to connect with each other and share ideas. And so there will be kind of some breakout groups where we can work together and just connect. And then we'll have a little section on just some personalized self-care and finish up with just next steps, like where do we go from here? And any questions at the end. So that's kind of our agenda for today. A couple of just little caveats before we get started. I want to acknowledge that we're all at different stages of this journey. My son Logan is 14 years old, so some days that feels like forever, some days it feels like yesterday. Some of you I know maybe have just gotten a diagnosis, and so you're maybe months or a couple years into the journey. And some of you may have decades of experience on me, so I just want to recognize that we're all kind of coming at this from different places. Kind of along those same lines, we all have very different backgrounds. Our family dynamics can be very different, and even though we all have children with Mowat-Wilson syndrome, their needs are very unique and different. So just want to kind of make sure we all know that when I talk about things with Logan and my family, they may be different than yours, so kind of adapting or modifying how that might fit your circumstances. And last but not least, I'm not a doctor or a therapist or a counselor. I'm just talking today as a mom, with parent, with personal experience, and then using some of the best, I would say, nuggets I've learned along the way in some of the professional development courses I've taken. So that is kind of where I will start. So despite all of our differences, though, I think what we all want is to care for our children, be here for them as long as possible. But in order to do so, we have to take care of ourselves. And so maybe, I don't know, anyone seen this meme on social media? Yes. So we have our Barbie with no kids, looking very bright-eyed and fresh-faced. I think if I find somewhere on Facebook 20 years ago, maybe there was a picture of that. And then typical mom looking a little more tired, some dark circles, which is totally expected. Like parenthood, motherhood is hard, period. And then we have special needs mom, who looks like she hasn't slept in 6 months and maybe survived a tornado, looking pretty ragged. And I look at that picture and I'm kind of taken back to 27-year-old me. I was working full-time, teaching 5th grade. I was getting my master's degree online. We had just gotten Logan's diagnosis. He was around 11 months old, so processing that. Your son may never walk or talk. And going on very little sleep. He really didn't like between 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. were like no sleep times. So I can really feel that, and that was a hard season for us. And I think hard seasons are expected in this journey. I mean, they're expected in life, but I think particularly on our journey, there are going to be hard seasons. But what I worry these kinds of things perpetuate is this idea that we always have to like live in this state. and that's unrealistic and it's not sustainable. And so we want to talk about today kind of what we can do to make the journey a little bit lighter for us, because if we are like this all the time, eventually it will lead to burnout. It will lead to potential health problems. And so let's talk today about what we can do to lighten that load. So we know kind of as parents, we just inherently, we take on more responsibility when we become parents. And obviously when we become caregivers to someone with special needs, that load gets even heavier. So what we're going to look at first is just the physical load. This is kind of, I think, the most tangible one that we can look at. This is the kind of mostly like your household chores that you're always having to do that kind of never go away. You're cooking, you're cleaning, and under cleaning there is a laundry list, no pun intended, of things to do. If you have a house with a yard, you've got your yard work and your pets, things like that. And then especially when you're a parent caring for a young child, the physical labor of helping them change, bathing, diapering, feeding, all of those things. And I think kind of in the beginning there's that light at the end of the tunnel, like they're going to grow up and that part of the job is going to not be as physical. But when we're parents of children with special needs, oftentimes that load doesn't really lighten. For me, Logan's 14. He still needs help with toileting, so we are changing diapers with a 14-year-old. Doesn't feed independently, so 3 meals a day, sitting down with a spoon and feeding. Can't dress by himself, so dressing, bathing. And depending on your child, you may be doing a feeding tube, cleaning the feeding tube, all of the processes that go along with that. So as you can see, that load is heavy, that physical load is heavy. But don't worry, we're going to talk about how we can lighten that. So let's just look, though, what's behind the physical load, because I think this is the one that doesn't get talked about as much, the mental load. And maybe has anybody heard of this term before? Okay. It's gaining a little bit more ground, which I think is a really, really good thing. There was a cartoon in 2017, this French cartoonist, Emma, and it went viral, and it was all about this like behind-the-scenes work that goes on. And that's really, I think, where we've kind of gained some ground and brought this into light. So the mental load is really all the invisible behind-the-scenes work that it takes to run a household. And this typically falls on, guess who? The woman of the family. And not to knock our men out there at all, but this is what the research says, and we could have a whole nother presentation on why that is. But that is the reality, that this mostly falls on the woman. So this is all of the anticipating and the planning, like whose birthday's coming up? Oh yeah, we've got to get a birthday gift. We've got a soccer game on Saturday morning and we need the red jersey, so we better make sure we get that jersey in the wash on Friday night. All the organizing, the scheduling, and the worrying. And I think that's what translates so much into then what we see as a special needs parent, the worry work, the additional worries that we have. And these were just some things I thought of kind of as we were coming to Minneapolis. I could feel my mental load was getting heavier. Did I remember to fill his prescriptions? Has insurance approved his device? How are we going to get there? The plane ride, what will our future like? Could I have done more? Just all of these questions that are constantly kind of running through our head. Raise of hands if you feel that? Okay, yeah. So again, this mental load, what makes it so difficult is that it really is, it's invisible. It's behind the scenes, and nobody can really see it. So you may be thinking, okay, I feel like you're adding to my mental load right now, just showing me this. And I get that. So there is a reason that I want to break it down here into these different categories before we talk about lightening it, because I think by putting it in categories, it can help you see where you might be doing all right and feeling good and that load doesn't feel as heavy, but where there's areas where you may feel like you need more support. And so that's why we're going through it kind of in those 3 categories first. And then finally, let's look at the emotional load. And it's very interwoven with the mental load. And this is all the managing of your feelings in addition to everybody else in your family. All of the comforting, the listening, checking in. I think a lot of times this also falls on the woman. I know in our situation, now that my husband's working from home, that has changed a little bit, the dynamic. He's able to get my kids off the bus and check in with them. How's your day going? So that's been a real big plus for us. But it's all the additional things, too, we think about as a special needs parent. Like, Logan doesn't talk, so he can't tell me that he loves me. I have to go by the smile that he gives me, you know? Then I'm thinking about his typical sibling. Does she feel left out? Like, do we need to spend more time with her? Is Logan being treated well at school? Well, you know, he's happy when he gets off the bus, and his teacher said things are going well, but, you know, I wish I could be a fly on the wall, but I'm not there. So these are all the things I'm constantly just thinking about that weigh on my heart. Am I being a good wife? Oh yeah, I forgot, there's that job. And another one, just our friends and our social. Like right now, we are very involved because our kids are younger and have typical kids their age, but as they become empty nesters and we don't, will we still be included in that circle? And so these are kind of some of the things that I think about, and I'm sure you have some similar thoughts and some different as well. So what I would like for us to talk about, because I know that was a lot, I want to give a little bit of time to reflect. You can probably see I'm a teacher. So we're going to, this first part where it says my blank load, I want you to think about which one right now feels the heaviest to you. And so is it that physical load that's more like you feel bombarded by the housework and just the chores? Is it more that mental worrying? So I want you to put what you think is the heaviest, and then in the lines below, just kind of jot down what those thoughts are, what those household things, chores are. This is going to be kind of a jumping point for later on when we break into groups. And if you don't feel like anything is heavy, that's okay too. Put what you feel really like things are going really well in, and you will be a great resource when we do work together and give us some tips on what's working for you. So we're going to take a little pause and work on that for about 3 or 4 minutes and just jot down some of our ideas. So what feels the heaviest to you? Oh, yeah. Anybody need pens? Yeah. Pens? Anybody need pens? Good. Yeah. Anybody need a pen? Come on. There are no right or wrong answers. Take like maybe 1 more minute, and then we're going to come back to this later on too. So. Okay, all right, let's move on. Like I said, we'll come back to that. But maybe you've seen this little game before. It's often like an icebreaker, 2 truths and a lie. And so I'm going to put up a couple of statements, and 2 of them are true, and 1 is a lie or a myth. So the first one is, I am doing my best. And I think if we're all really honest with ourselves, we are doing our best. We are looking for resources. You are here, right? I mean, if you are here in this room, you are trying your best. I think when we start questioning questioning ourselves is when we are looking and comparing ourselves to other people and other kids and what they're doing. And I'm guilty of it even here at this conference, you know, looking and saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe that kid is like using his talker, you know, effortlessly. Oh my, that kid's like running down the hallway. We're, you know, our wide gate over here. So that's when we get in trouble though, and I have to remember like how much progress Logan has made. It's not fair to him when I start comparing and thinking we're not doing our best. So you are doing your best, okay? Number 2, it is possible to lighten my load. I know that some of you are probably sitting there in the back of your head, a voice saying, that sounds really great, I'd like to do that, but I don't see how it's possible. If I give something to someone else, it's not gonna get done. And I totally get that. I've been there, I understand. What I would say to that is, if everything feels right now and your load doesn't feel heavy and you don't feel overwhelmed or stressed, then things are probably going okay. But if it kind of feels like one more thing, it's all gonna fall apart, then with so much love, just want to nudge you that there's a possibility that even one small change or one thing could make a really big difference. So that comes then to our lie. I have to be Superwoman. Now, a few years ago, I probably would have said this was all a trick question. You're trying to trick me. Those are all, you know. But I think when we try to be Superwoman, we don't actually end up looking like her. We end up looking like Barbie on the first slide. We can't do it all. And so what we're going to talk about now is the meat, the good stuff, is how we can lighten the load. So this, if you're not on the back of your sheet, this is kind of, you can flip over. We're going to look at some practical things. The first one, which we kind of got to start on today, was to write it all down. Like I said, it's invisible until you make it visible. I always think of this story. I don't know if any of you know the Feinbergs or have met Zoe and Mark and Katie, but we met them at the very first conference in 2013. We went to go visit them a couple of years later, and I remember Katie and I were having coffee, and she just kind of nonchalantly said something like, yeah, well, when Mark dropped Zoe off at school. And I was like, Mark takes Zoe to school? And she's like, yeah. Well, at that time, I wasn't working, but I was waking up every morning, taking Logan, you know, the 20, 25 minutes to school, back. The whole thing ended up being like an hour. And it had never occurred to me that Olin drives past Logan's school every day on his way to work and could drop him off. So it was kind of one of those things, like until it kind of dawns on you or you write it down and see it, you don't realize where there could be help. And so that was like a game changer. When he started taking Logan to school, it gave me an extra hour back in my day that then I could use or not use for whatever I wanted. So making it visible by writing it all down. And in the beginning, that does seem like that's a little bit time consuming. But I think the benefits will outweigh that kind of extra work in the beginning. And I also think of it a little bit like a diet. Like when you try to start a new diet, you want to do it all right away at the beginning. And I'm going to go to the gym 7 days a week, and I'm going to cut out sugar and alcohol and all the things. And it's kind of like this too. Let's just start small, start in one area. We don't have to do physical, mental, emotional loads all at once. We can pick one small area. But we have to start by making it visible and writing it down. All right, the second, and there's kind of 3 parts to this, is delegate. Now, some of you might be laughing and saying, no way, I can't give some job to somebody else. So what I would say is delegating is giving one small task to someone and starting with something that you're not very concerned about the outcome. Or it feels not so risky. Like if the outcome doesn't come out how you want it, you'll be okay. For example, like, can you cook dinner on Friday night? If you make tacos and they, you know, taste terrible or whatever, we can call Uber Eats. But delegating that task, one thing, that can take some things off of a little bit of load off of your plate. So picking something that's easy and you're not too attached to the outcome would be what I would recommend as far as delegating. The next thing is automating. In the tech world that we live in today, there's so much that can be automated. So you don't have to think about when, you know, the child care payment is due or when I need to cancel Netflix or whatever it is. Automate as much as you can. I know during COVID, when we had to start online grocery shopping, before I didn't mind really going to the grocery store. It was kind of my Sunday outing, how fun. And then we did online grocery shopping during COVID, and we haven't gone back because that, again, gave me hours back into my day. I just have my online app, and it's pretty much the same every week. So as much as you can, automate. Let that create space in your head for not other things necessarily, but just space. All right, and then the last thing in this category, and I call this kind of like next level delegation. So this you're going to want to work up to. This is transfer of ownership. So this is when you really transfer all responsibility to someone else. So that can be a hard one for us. It's a hard one for me. My husband doesn't know that, so I'm going back to work full time in 23 days for the first time in like 11 years. So I'm looking to possibly transfer ownership of like all the cooking responsibilities to him. Because when we think of like delegating the task of cooking, here's what you need to cook. I've already planned it. I've already bought it. It's in the kitchen. All you have to do is prepare it. That's very different than him having to plan it on Sunday, what we're going to have, thinking about, well, we have practice this night, and then we're going to be coming from therapy. Like, there's a lot of mental energy that goes into that. So transfer of ownership is a lot more comprehensive. So I would say work up to it, but I think that is where we really start to lighten the load, where that whole ownership is off of our shoulders. Is anybody like, no way? No, not gonna happen. I'll keep you posted on how that works in our house. Like I said, he doesn't know that. All right, and then the last one is setting boundaries. And this can look like different things. So one thing could be saying no, right? And that could be saying no to things, to people, so things that aren't serving you at that time. And I think what's scary about saying no is we think that it's a permanent thing, like we can never go back to doing that. Let's say it's being room mom. You've been room mom all in the past for all of your kids, and now the load you've just got is heavier, and that's just something you can't do right now. It doesn't mean you can't do it again down the road, but saying no to things that aren't serving you is important. There's only time for so many things. The next one, and I can't take credit for this. This was actually something I heard on a podcast. Mamas Have Special Needs Too is a really great podcast. But she talked about if you're a worrier, setting aside actual like worry time in your calendar, where you give yourself 15, 20, I wouldn't give yourself too much time, but give yourself a time to just let all those worries come out. Let it, when it's all inside your head, it's so heavy. But when you can write it down on paper, that can lighten the load. So just setting time to worry. All right. Now, I think what makes this so hard, though, is that this load is invisible and there are no boundaries, meaning that we can think about it anytime, anywhere. So we can be thinking about it like going along in our day, and then all of a sudden the worry pops up when we're driving to work, or got home from work and settle in and watch Netflix, and then something triggers your head, and now you're thinking about that IEP that's coming up next week. So it's anytime, anywhere, in the car, or if you're like us, at night, in bed, at 3 o'clock in the morning. So this is how I imagine our house was probably for a long time. Me, eyes wide awake, 3 in the morning, Olin peacefully dreaming. But true story, I used to wake up inevitably, thank you Logan and Lucy, to have to pee somewhere in the middle of the night, and I would beg my brain not to turn on or think in the 15 steps to the bathroom. Because somehow I could go from looking like Olin to, by the time I got into the toilet, what are we going to do when Logan ages out of school? I mean, that's 12 years away, but what program is he going to be in? Is that program even going to exist? Am I going to need to go back to work? I mean, literally in the time that I got out of bed to go in the bathroom and back, I was then looking like that. And that happened for a long time, and I actually heard on the same podcast I was telling you about, Mamas Have Special Needs Too, something that helped me, and this is kind of totally side note. She said, when you're having those worries, ask yourself the question, am I safe right now in this moment? And so I would say, am I safe? Yes, I'm safe. I'm in my bed, in my house. And I would say, are my kids, are they safe? Is Olin safe? And somehow that would be enough to calm me down in the moment. I mean, this didn't work the first night, I'll admit that. It took a little practice and consistency, but eventually I would get to where then I could go back to sleep. And then by the morning, 9 times out of 10, that worry felt so much lighter, and maybe I wasn't even thinking about it by the morning. So really, with all of this, my hope is that these strategies will help you better manage the load. You know, even if it's just to have 5 minutes of extra time in the morning with your coffee. I mean, fruity cocktail drink on the beach would be nice too. Maybe we'll get there one day, but really just making space for that rest and recovery that we need so much. So what I want to do now is give us some time to share and to connect. And so using what you wrote down earlier, what load was feeling the heaviest, and we can kind of do it with tables and maybe even just turning, like this table turn to that table and that to that, and just talk about any of these things. It could be a challenge that you're facing right now, and you just kind of don't know where to go with it. It could be brainstorming, okay, here is that challenge, what do we do, what could I do next? And if you've had a success, share with people what's been helpful. So we're gonna take probably about 20 minutes or so to go to just share. Hi, how are you? Good, I'm Jackie.
Hi, I'm Grandma Alice.
You're here because mom? Okay, or Ed's mom, okay, mother-in-law, yes, okay. Nice.
I'm just trying to
You're taking it all in.
what I can to help.
Yes, you're a big piece of the puzzle too. I mean,
To get in the way too much, but try to get a perspective,
right,
try to help.
right, absolutely. Hi. How are you? Good.
With the emotional load, I hadn't realized that anybody else thought about maybe losing friends. And since we're a little bit older for our son, a lot of our friends don't have kids. Or if they do, and because they don't have kids, they especially don't want kids with special needs at certain events.
To come in.
You know, they go to a brewery or something, but it's like they don't want us to come because they don't want us to have to bring our kids.
Right.
We don't really have anyone to leave them with, you know?
Right.
So
Right.
I was happy to hear that other people have that challenge, or and I thought it was maybe just me being overly sensitive or something.
No, it's hard because the dynamic changes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I was just glad to hear that that is actually an issue and not just something I'm making up. You know?
Yeah. No, I feel it too. Yeah. Now, how old is, I don't know, I've never met you guys before. How old is your Moet Wilson?
She's 4, she'll be 5 next month.
Okay.
She's doing pretty well. We're pretty happy with her progress. So, she's got her therapy 3 days a week, but she does all the heavy lifting.
Yep.
So.
Mama's carrying the load.
Because I had to stop working and going to work, so it's now from home and it's less hours. So our biggest worry is the financial part. And this is great and dandy, yeah, you do all this, but you have to think about the financial part, like that she has, like if I pass, like he passes on to names, but when she grows up and she has that, like comfort that hey, she's gonna have and she's gonna need.
Right.
And she has enough of the doctors and the therapies and all this stuff. So this biggest thing is the financial part. Because we don't really have that working. My thing is like now she needs to see that and looking at all the other kids now, listening to their parents. I seen one yesterday, the biker.
Oh, Bella. Yeah.
I saw the picture when she's little, and as soon as I seen it, like she got the biggest support because the picture is my daughter.
Yeah.
Like they look so much alike.
Yeah.
And instantly my heart like and because not that the girl is doing that and it's really awesome like that, but it was like could that be her at that age? And it's
it's okay. Can I come give you a hug, though? Oh, sorry. I'm going to steal your seat for a second.
Hasn't had any. I'm like, that's a big possibility that it can happen. And then, you know what I mean? I don't know.
It's a hard balance of the now and just taking baby steps one day at a time, and then, like you, kind of thinking longer term for the future. It is a hard, but you're doing everything that you can possibly do right now. And she knows she's loved.
But as far as those things that you were speaking on, like, so I try to, with the groceries, make so she doesn't have to waste her time going to the grocery store. Just order everything you need.
Right.
And we talk about bringing somebody in to help her. Maybe just take 4 hours off.
Right. Just time for you. Yep.
So
Yeah.
I'm sympathetic. I get it.
You get it, yeah.
Yes. Because I'm away for work a lot. So I understand that. There's a lot. I can see that there's a lot going on.
Right.
Scarlett does not. She wakes up at 2 in the morning every night. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she'll stay up to like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. And then she wants to go to sleep. And then she's
Right.
up like 7, 8, like, let's go, Mom. I'm ready. Like, completely.
The good news, I feel like that stage, it does pass eventually. Yeah, it does get better, but I know those first years are.
But I do
Yeah.
recognize that.
Yeah.
So don't waste your time at a grocery store. That's
Right.
some hours. When we talk about bringing somebody in, at least give her a couple of hours.
Right.
Whatever I can do, I understand all of that.
Right. Well, that's great to have such a supportive person.
Kind of, it worries me. That's another worry. Because I'm like, they might be professionals and they might be like special needs person, but I'm like, do they have, because sometimes she gets into these like, I guess, anger that she just like freaks out. And it's like, I myself, I'm her mom, and sometimes I'm like, oh my God.
Right.
It gets
Yeah,
through
take
me.
a breath,
And I'm
yeah.
like, what is to say that that person doesn't have that extra patience and
Right.
just smack, because I've seen it. Like, they're like mean to the kids. And then she can't tell me today she smacked me, or today she didn't pay attention to me, or today she didn't do. And I'm like, oh my God. And I brought this person into the house. I brought this person to look after my kid. And they're not like, I didn't do enough because it should, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No,
That's
I
also
understand.
another-
Another, I know, we've got, yes.
Another avenue, too.
I understand.
Do you
And
have
that-
we have a place in our town that does things for adults with disabilities, day programs and stuff, but they also provide respite for kids.
So she was, but it ended when she turned 3.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they only have it to 3. And then, like, I tried maybe regular daycare, but they were like, no, because she's special needs. So I was like, okay, so then I tried special needs daycare, but they were like, no, because she's not bad enough. Like, she doesn't need a feeding tube, she doesn't need a wheelchair.
Like you're in the
she doesn't-
gray area.
So she would have like gotten lost in the midst of that. And then I was like, okay, so let's start school, regular public school.
Right.
And they were like, the classroom for special needs kids could be up to 30 kids in one classroom with obviously some different severities. But it was only one teacher and one helper.
For 30 kids?
Yeah.
Holy
At
moly.
the moment, I think they had 19 kids. And they were like, I was like, okay, that's fine, but can I bring like a chaperone for her, like her own special nurse? Because she's in diapers and she doesn't quite feed herself, and she's a really picky eater. So I was like, can I? And they were like, no, because she's not bad enough for her to have that. I was like, so where is her? Where does she fit in?
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
Because then if I leave her by herself, they were like, oh, when they go out to lunch, she'll be eating with the rest of the group, like with the rest of the normal kids or whatever. Like, that doesn't seem good, because she can come home and tell me today this kid did this to me, or they, you know what I mean? It's like, so again, that's another that
Right.
comes to mind. I'm like, how? Where? Maybe it's
So
just
that-
me.
No, you care so much for her and you want what's best. And,
Yeah. So
And you're already, I can tell, a good advocate for her. And that part we will do the rest of our lives. We will advocate for our kiddos. And where do you guys live? Texas.
Well, we live in San Antonio. He lives in Houston.
Okay. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Sorry, you guys.
Yeah.
I know that's one of my biggest fears still is Titus going to school is he can talk, but he cannot explain things. He can answer questions and have a basic conversation, but he can't come home and tell us what happened at school. So we're always worried that he's being bullied or people are making fun of him, which has happened. But we just, the teachers say he's doing well. We just have to go off of what we hear.
Right.
He's happy to go to school.
Right.
So I think that's a common worry is like how are they being treated at school and are they happy there?
And then that's also because I don't know if yours is, but mine's is extremely happy, like all the time. Like no matter, and really social. And if a kid like, I call her Space Invader. Like you're such a because she's always like in people's
Wants to be
faces and
hooked.
hugs and,
Right.
And I'm like not everybody wants to hug you. Not everybody wants to be your friend.
Describing Titus.
Right, I know. Logan too.
And I'm like, oh my
He's
God.
like in my lap. I'm like, you're 14. We are the same size.
Yeah, and like, he likes to take her, she likes bouncing and jumping, and we have like those places that he
Right.
likes to take her there, and she's like all up in kids' faces, and they're like, ew, and she's like, what, you want more? So I'm like, oh.
Right.
So, again, that worries me that she might be like, yeah, school was great, but then at school it's not what's happening, right? You know what I mean? Because she's always like, yeah, let's go, let's do it, woohoo.
Yeah.
The one thing
Yeah.
we've learned, we've seen a couple instances is at the park where some of the kids are maybe teasing Titus, but he doesn't get that it's teasing, and he's laughing along with them, which is good for him. It breaks my heart.
Right.
But he's oblivious enough that he just thinks they're trying to be his friend.
Right.
So
Right.
for our kids, especially if they're usually happy, I don't think they get that they're being teased a lot of times, or that they're the butt of the joke here.
Right.
Which is good for them. It hurts us. you
Right.
know?
Makes us have to have thick skin sometimes. Yeah. 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 But I think it's good because, like, you guys, Titus is 14, right? Yeah, and your daughter's 4, so it's like seeing the journey and where, I think we can reflect and we remember these days, and just, it's all good. It's gonna be okay.
Moments where we worried, like, we thought down the road, how's he going to be with some
Right.
other children? Well, the children that were born too, and just wondered. And he's done well. We've gotten through it. With his, he's a lot of resources for the government to help us too, like respite,
Yeah.
and some of these programs where they, take him to engage in activities for the grade.
Yeah.
And that kind of doesn't start till they're like this. Our program didn't start till he was a teenager, but the respite did. But that's different. But in the respite they do provide one night a week. And I didn't ever want to bring them there because I didn't know the people. But they will pay us to have our own provider come in, so we can pick a family member, a neighbor, someone we trust to come stay with him, and they will give us a certain amount of money each month to pay that person. So if you can find a resource like that, then you get to pick your own person to come in.
And you can
To stay with you.
let 'em-
I would look at any kind of disability resource that your community has.
Yeah. No, I remember too when Logan was little and kind of seeing pictures of the older kids, and it's kind of shocking. Like, they do change and grow up, and you worry, like, okay, right now he's this cute little boy, like everybody loves him, can pick him up. What is he gonna be when he has facial hair and pimples, But I think it happens slow enough that, like, it's not a shock, and you've learned to love them so much and created a community around them that accepts them. I mean, I feel like we go in our community and or the grocery store. Oh, there's Logan, like. So I know it feels overwhelming. Just breathe.
And
It's
like
good.
I said, one day at a time. That is
Yeah.
just like get through one day. I feel like you made it. And then the next day you do that again. But before you know it, you've made it a year.
Right,
Especially
right.
with the way you are. I cannot get over
Yeah, if you can get 4 hours a day for yourself, take that. Yeah, because it is hard. You, I think, kind of become so focused, and it's an admirable thing. We become so focused on our child, though we lose ourselves in that process, you know. And so it's like making an intentional effort to still take care of you, and go be with your friends, and go to a movie. Go just. I know it sounds like.
I know.
But,
We had like a date night, sort of. In years, we hadn't had one, and we had one. We went to go see a movie, and then I was like so disappointed because I hated the stupid. I was like, I wasted my one.
now you just got to do another. That's just more reason to do another one. Yeah. No, I'm glad you had a chance to share.
Focus on you.
One thing that we worry about is Titus is very social and likes to say hi to everyone and loves to give hugs. And at a 4 and 5-year-old age, it's cute. But when you get to be a teenage boy, it's just kind of creepy.
Well, he's bigger than a lot of the women that he wants to hug. And he's just trying to be nice.
Right.
Mentally, emotionally, he's about a 4 or 5-year-old. And so even if we try and set boundaries and personal space, it doesn't disturb him. He loves hugs. He thinks everyone does. So how we deal with that as he gets older is an issue, just because he doesn't think of himself as a big person. Everyone sees him as that.
Right.
It kind of is included in him. It's kind of like, you know.
And it's
We
Right.
have
Right.
we even know in advance if we see somebody, we know he's going to say hi, I want to give him a hug.
Yeah, I know what he's going to
We're like, Titus, you can't
Don't touch him.
say hi.
Yes,
Like,
to yourself.
and he is
Yeah.
moving a lot.
Yeah.
We don't tell him that as much here, so because we know that
People know. Right.
pretty
Right.
accepting.
Right.
But just in the public, he'll go up to anybody and pat him on the back and give him a hug. And most people, some are good with him, but a lot don't like that. You know?
Yeah.
So trying to teach him that. As they grow, it's like,
efforts, yeah.
it's slow.
Yeah.
That impulse control is not there. We're working on it.
I will say their sweetness and their wanting to cuddle and be close, like
it's
as
a
they
great
get.
thing, and then
it-
it's not.
Right.
Where's
Right.
the happy medium type, or having to explain every single, my kid has, or they like, or this is what they do, don't worry.
Right.
And again, like you said, some people are okay with it, and others are like,
Right.
why?
Right, right. And I feel like most people, I have so many more good stories of people being accepting than the assholes that, and they're just assholes anyway, so it wouldn't matter what they came across, they wouldn't be happy.
Like you said, there's been a couple of instances where Titus has been bullied in school and made fun of it. He didn't even know it. His parent told us and they addressed the situation. But that's like 99% of the time that doesn't happen. And 99% of people are very friendly with him, very kind, patient.
Yeah.
So we can appreciate that and reflect on that rather than a few cases where
Right.
he had a bad experience.
Yeah. I would agree with that,
At least
yeah.
I think it helps that he looks, you can tell by looking at our children that they are different. And I think that actually helps in some instances. Whereas I feel like some kids, maybe just with autism, you can't tell it just by looking at them. So they, I think, are judged more. But in some ways, I think that our children are a little different helps because a person can realize, oh, they must have
Right.
disability.
Right. There's a little more kindness, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, yeah. The silver linings, we got to look for them. All the little things. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. So your daughter's here. I think I saw you pushing her in the stroller.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's in a
Yeah.
daycare.
Yeah.
That was another thing, daycare. I was like, and then yesterday we went to go pick her up and had put 2 little ponytails. And one was like down here when I picked her up, and the other, and I'm like, what happened? And she was just went like this, which is usually like an owie. Like she had an owie, and I was like, what happened? And then the girl was like, oh, one of the little boys pulled their hair, but she's okay. And I was like, but she was just like, her ponytail was like down here all wobbly. I was like, oh.
Yeah. Aw. Is this the first time you've met other families? Okay. Yeah.
We were so excited to be here.
Yeah.
We don't have to
just get it. Yep. Yeah. When did she get her diagnosis?
In 2021.
Okay.
She was born overseas in Qatar. So I don't know if you guys are interested in like Muslim. They're very like inshallah, like God willing. Like if God wanted her to, she would. And that's what I would get at the hospitals. Because I started to notice that she wasn't meeting her milestones. So I would take her to the doctor and be like, hey, I don't, and they'd be like, oh, inshallah, if God wanted her to, she would. And I was like, yes, but
Right.
I don't know, there's something.
Something
I got
medical.
a little, yeah, push a little more.
They wouldn't listen. And I kept telling him, like, hey, like, I feel, and they're like, well, let's give it a little longer. And she was maybe a little bit over a year. And then we were like, you know what, we gotta go somewhere else. Oh, military.
Okay.
So then we moved to Germany, and then at the big hospital there, we were like, hey, look, listen. And they listened, which was great. And they started to do testing, and everything was like good. But they were like, yeah, we can see that something.
Something,
And
right?
then finally in 2020, I think in 20 they did the genetic testing on just her, and everything was normal. But then they were like, the last thing we can do is all three of you, and then more body type. And then that's when they came up with it. So that's how everything, by then it was COVID. So in Germany, they like shut down completely.
Yeah.
So everything was through computer, like Zoom therapies and stuff. And I was like, this is
That's
not
hard.
working.
Yeah.
So I told them, like, we gotta go. Like, I have to take her somewhere. So I chose San Antonio because of the two, the Army base and the Air Force base.
Okay.
So they're pretty huge hospitals. And I was like, I think it's gonna be great. And yeah, she's come so
Come
much.
so far, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, is your daughter one of the ones that has Mo Wilson, but is the ZEB2 gene affected? Isn't there some, I thought maybe I misunderstood it, that they do have that, but the gene is normal.
Hers is, it did not get removed, it did not get doubled. It's just like one of the letters or whatever got switched.
Okay, so there is still something.
Yeah, yeah.
Found something in the gene. Oh.
Yeah. But she understands everything.
Right.
She's learning how to do sign language, and we're looking into the
Device, yeah.
we're working on that with the insurance and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, she didn't get affected that much with the syndrome.
Yeah. Kind of on the milder side.
Yeah, and then like with her callosum,
Yeah, corpus
the
callosum.
brain, it's not completely deleted.
Okay.
It's a very thin, so her left and her right kind of sort of communicates, which that's what she's able to understand or whatever. But yeah, so she didn't get, she's not severe or anything.
Yeah.
She's still like operating. So,
Yeah.
Well, I wonder, I think they're still studying if how that works, because like on Titus's gene, they said about 2/3 of the way was just right, and then the last third of that is just gone. So I would think that it would be more severely affected, but I would say he's a little more mild. But he only has 2/3 of the gene, and the last third just ended, like it just stopped being written or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that works.
yeah.
What makes it more
Yeah.
severe and what
That's it. Because they told us, for us, they told us that if the right wasn't communicating with the left, that would be a big thing for them to like communicate, understand.
Right.
Which she does have a little bit like of using both hands. She either uses one or the other. But I don't know. Again, she has everything except like one of the letters got reversed.
I think they're still trying to figure it out. Really, that's kind of one of the big questions. Yeah. I don't know if those two are military families. I don't know if you've met them. Aaron here and Jamie. They're both military families. Yeah.
No, we have not.
Yeah. I think I hate to cut everybody off, but we're getting close. But thank you for opening up and sharing. And sometimes just talking about it helps, just to get it off your shoulders, out of your head. Yeah. Yes.
I would just say to keep up with all the therapies as
Or it's like a plateau for a while, like you're saying, and then, yeah. We never can underestimate them. Yeah. Yep. Thanks for letting me steal your seat.
No problem.
Let's take like 2 more minutes to kind of wrap up, and then we will finish up. I hate to cut off. It's like I need to do my teacher, like. We're gonna go ahead and kind of wrap up our conversations. Hopefully, we may even have a few minutes here at the end to kind of finish those. I hope that everybody got a lot of benefit from just talking with other families and hearing their experiences. I think that's kind of one of the best things about this conference is just being able to talk with other people who get it, who have walked the walk, are walking the walk. So thank you all too for just being willing and open to sharing. That's what makes this so special. Okay, so we'll finish up. I don't think a presentation like this would be complete without these quotes that I'm sure you've seen everywhere. Right? To take care of ourselves, we first have to put on our oxygen mask before we can help others. And you can't pour from an empty cup, even if it was a full coffee cup at one time. But they're so true. As cliche as they are so true. And so I want to go through, I think self-care is so personal. Like what fills my cup and what rejuvenates me is going to be different than what does for you. So I kind of want to just share a few little things that have helped me along the way, kind of those like if I knew then what I know now kind of tips to finish up. The first one is just to ask for and accept help. I think that's so hard to do in the beginning because we have that superwoman cape that we're trying to wear. And sometimes we have to be specific in what we need. Like, can you watch my child for an hour while I go run this errand? Or can you, stay with my baby for 3 hours while I whatever? So being specific and just being willing to accept that help. Accepting help isn't a sign of weakness. I think it really just shows that you're strong and know that you need a break every now and then. The next one is to make sure that you make time for yourself. Whether you have to schedule it in, find creative ways, but we become, I think, so absorbed in our child, which is amazing and so selfless, but we lose ourselves in that sometimes. And so I know, like for me, physical activity has always just been really important. That's like been my therapy. And so whether it was walking laps around Logan's therapy building while he had therapy, I don't know how many miles I've walked around his building, but it was just the way I had to do it in that season. But just finding time for yourself. The next one is finding a support network. And this looks so different for all of us. I think fortunately now with our virtual world and our Facebook groups that we have, our Moet Wilson groups locally, just having your tribe. And sometimes that's not other special needs families either. Sometimes you need just your friends, that friend you can call that's gonna just make you laugh, the friend that's gonna just listen, not try to solve your problems, but just be there to listen. Kind of just having all those people that are gonna catch you, that net. I never ever thought of like network actually being like a net. I don't know if I thought of that. I thought I'm on to something. And then the last thing that I would say above all, and I wish I had taken this more to heart along the journey, is just to be kind to yourself, have compassion. We are going to face so many obstacles along this journey. Don't make yourself one of them. You know, I've heard people say, like, talk to yourself like you'd talk to your best friend. You know, like the things we say to ourselves, like, oh my gosh, you could have done more. Like, why didn't you should be doing that therapy. Your kid you didn't eat your vegetables. Like, would you ever say that to your best friend? Of course not. So try not to say it to yourself. And with that, I just want to talk about kind of next steps, like where to go from here. I hope that this will be a good resource for you just to kind of look back on. If there's even one small thing, you know, that you take home and think this could be one little change I could do. Like I said, start small. It's like that diet. Just change one little thing at a time. And if that goes well, try adding something else in, and it kind of becomes that cumulative effect. But with that, are there any questions? Or I know you could only really talk to the people you were with, but was there anything kind of really thought-provoking or you want to share with the larger group? We have a few minutes to kind of just connect as a bigger group.
There was that app I seen yesterday on one of the papers that was like for planning and stuff like that. It had like everything all in one, but I think it was a subscription or something. But like, or was
Is that the Matrix or no?
It was what? I think it was a different name, but
I'm
maybe
not
it was
sure.
on a website or something. I don't remember. I don't know. It just might be helpful to look into it if we're struggling with like all the tasks because it was just under one app. But
Yeah.
I don't remember where it's in that.
I know in the beginning I had a binder that I made. There was a very thick binder, but just kind of had all of Logan's information so that when we did go to doctor's appointments and things, we had, you know, a lot of times we're the experts going to those appointments. And so just having everything all in one place at one was really helpful. Yeah.
I just wanted to make a plug for, because we were just sharing in our group.
Yeah.
And when you checked in to the conference, they gave you a little packet, and there was a support group in there that was mentioned, and then a community advisory board. So those were two huge things that I think Jackie, you're the one who introduced me to the support group, and that has been, Aaron, there you are.
And Aaron's taking it over now. Yeah.
So that has been immensely helpful because I think when we came in, our son's about to turn 4. It is obviously overwhelming. You're not going to meet anybody with Wilson syndrome for a long time. So, you know,
Yeah. Right.
years later, here I am. But I think that it was so helpful. It's such a small group. It's so low energy and effort to go to, because you don't have to go every month. If you just want to drop in and just see what topics they're talking about, more than likely one of them is going to be relatable to you. It's an hour of your time, and it's in the evenings. I think the times too, Aaron, I know has been changing them up and doing a little bit of different variety to kind of work with the time zones. There's people that join from Australia, from Europe, and it's just interesting to hear all the things they're doing. And so I highly recommend that for your education of it all.
Yeah.
And I think it just helps with sharing resources, because like you said, I know that y'all tapped me into the CHOA network in Atlanta, but when we moved to Tennessee, we're in the Vanderbilt network, and it's, you know, helping them build their resources for Wilson has been something we've been doing, and just in the last 2 months, they received a diagnosis of Wilson.
Oh, wow.
And when I heard that, it made me so happy when the geneticist made the connection that they already had a patient, and I thought how much we could help that new family
Right.
that's joining the team with their baby, and getting them some information of what specialties to see, so that they don't have the struggles of, you know, calling the 800 line and getting out and crying with him that my son was having such GI problems, and he connected me to your family, and
Right.
it was life-changing. And so I think that kind of stuff can't be, you know, understated. So there's
Absolutely.
my plug for the
Thank
support
you.
group.
Do you want to say anything about it, or what the latest is, and how y'all are?
It's very informal. Eventually, I'd like to have maybe set topics to talk about. But right now, it's just very informal, just getting to know everybody that wants to join, and
Yeah.
just learning about our kids, hanging out with our kids, and so
come in your pajamas, like no makeup. It's very chill. Yeah.
We'd love to have more people join.
Is there
Yeah.
a Zoom link online or?
I usually do try to post it throughout the groups and stuff on Facebook, but I also have a group of emails that I email it to as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Sweet.
You probably give her your email and she'll get you on there. Sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
It'd be fun to get a dad's one going.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of involved dads I know that are carrying a major load, and there's things I feel like women can, I mean, the studies I've read are like men die alone and women don't because they're hanging out with friends. I mean, that's sad, and I know that we don't have to follow that statistic, or we don't want them to die, but you know what I mean?
Right.
It's just saying.
Right. They need support too. Yeah. Yeah. And they, I think, process it all differently than we do. Like,
And they might just say like, yeah, but like, my husband has a lot of words and he's, that's a good thing. Like, he
Yeah.
likes to share, and I know there's other dads that like to share too.
yeah, that is a great idea. I love that. Anybody else? Well, thank you guys so much. I think I have one more slide. There he is. Thank you. Really, thank you all. I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference. Thanks for coming. Sorry, I wanted to come around it, but I couldn't. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hopefully it was helpful. I wanted mostly people to be able to just talk and share, meet new people. Awesome. Thank you. Was that
Another one, right?
Yeah, 10:45. I think it's about a 30-minute break. So we've been,
I'll text you guys if you're still up
oh, for lunch. Yeah. Yep. That sounds good.
Probably gonna get our suitcases out of them.
Oh yeah. What time's your flight?
I have to leave here at 5-ish.
Okay.
Flight's at 8. I'm thinking we'll probably have dinner there because we won't have time to go to I'm sad we're missing the
Yeah. Yeah. I know, you too, Therese.
And it was great.
Oh, thank you very much.
So hopefully you'll still have time too to join the support group once in a while.
Right, I know. Yes, I need to. I need to get back into the habit. Although I'm starting working, like,
Are you going back to teaching? What
so,
grade?
5th grade.
Oh, bless your
Yeah.
heart.
It's been 11 years. I did it for 8 years. Been in retirement for 11, now going back.
I'm
so.
not going back. I'm done. I'm done.
Good for you. I might be done after 1 year. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Might not last, but we'll see.
It's good to get out of the house.
I'm excited. Like, I am excited to start. If ever there was a time that everybody is like doing well and like Olin works from home now, it's like this is the time to try it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I miss it, but I'm not going to.
Yes, thank you. I haven't met you yet.
I'm
Katie,
Hanson.
okay.
I have 6-year-old Harrison.
Harrison, okay.
Yeah.
And a new precious little one. Oh my
And
gosh.
my 8-year-old daughter
Okay.
is running around. So.
Just making friends. I love that so many of the siblings have like connected and
Yeah, no, I love this topic. I'm actually thankful. Like, I did a year-long program with DBT. It's a therapy program.
okay.
And it really, all the skills that you were mentioning, it taught you like how to stop, and nothing is as urgent as it seems, and like.
Uh-huh.
But today I was like, I'm gonna take 10 minutes of self-care for my face and
Yeah.
just wash it and enjoy it, and just a little stuff.
Right. It's the little things, and then they add up to the bigger
pile
things.
up and you start setting boundaries, and it's really nice.
And you're like, I actually feel better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, good.
Thanks for teaching.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you.
Do
Thank
you
you.
teach now?
I'm going back to 5th grade.
Okay.
So I taught for 8 years, back in another life, home for 11, and now back
You're
in.
gonna do great.
Thank
You'll do
you.
great.
I appreciate
It
that.
sounds like your husband will be great at cooking.
We We will see. TBD.
Yes, there you go.
It'll be okay.
Don't tell him yet. I haven't told him that.
I'm like the office manager Monday through Friday.
Thanks.
Now, was it easier once you got going?
Yeah, I think so.
But on the weekends,
I had a great conversation.
Yeah, that's Eric. Do you know Erica Sealing?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so she was like, we should have a grandparent group.
Aw. Yeah.
But she helps.
With Trip. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But now they're not as close. They were, but they moved because it's work travel.
Oh.
So he can be closer to work. And so it makes him a little further away from
Yeah.
her.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of got stuck up there. Not stuck, but didn't get to circle around. But did it look like everybody was having fun? Yeah.
Were they asking you a lot of questions?
Yeah, well, she got a little emotional. She's got a 4-year-old, and seeing the older ones. She said that the picture of Bella, the younger, and she said that Bella looks exactly like her younger one, and seeing the older, she's like, not that there's anything that she's doing great, but it is scary. I've had something.
How'd it go?
I think good.
You emotional?
No, I've had something under my eyelid for.
Added to that mental load or stress load.
Thanks, Dad. Jeez.
I will say, yes. I had to take my own advice a lot the last few weeks, although you'd probably say, no, you didn't.
I would say that you've done very well to get here today.
Very good,
So.
and I only cried a little.
Good morning. How's it going?
How are y'all?
Good.
Yeah?
Do you need anything to drink?
No, why do you have no voice?
I mean,
I know, I woke up and like all my glands are swollen. I'm
yeah.
like,
I don't know if it's the air or
Yeah,
if it's just
something.
been living in hotels for the last week. Haven't really been outside.
it will do it, yes.
Just ready to get back to the humidity.
That's right. I need to heat everything nice and.
You gonna get some tea? Do you want coffee or tea?
No, I'm just drinking the water. I got some up there. How are the kids?
Yeah. This morning.
Did he go?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Oh,
Bed. So,
ours?
Yeah. Yours. So I pull all the stuff off and move it outside.
Oh man.
Just like cut to cut.
Oh. Glad I missed it.
It was an adventure. And Dad got a note this morning that said, "Hey, thank you for staying with us."
Oh no.
Yeah, so he had to go back. And he was down there and they were going to give him the contract rate to do one more night. He's like, so Mom had to call.
Oh gosh.
I got to take it.
Okay.
Give you a hug.
Oh,
That was awesome. I loved it. Yeah, I love that this was added on this year, and I think it's something that isn't talked about enough.
My hope was just to give people a little hope and a little lift. Like, there's a lot of heaviness too. Like, I mean, all the science and all that is wonderful, and we need to know that, but we also need to lighten up a little and just take care of ourselves.
Agreed.
A little, as little as it may be, it adds up. 1 + 1 + 1 eventually gets to 100.
Just got a text from Annette, something about trying to get David's room for another night.
I think that it was taken care of. When did she send that? Yeah, a while ago. I think it's been taken
she
care
got
of.
it,
I guess he got a notice.
Checking out.
Yeah, and they wouldn't let him do it because he wasn't on the reservation or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So.
Okay. So good. Rinse and repeat. Be awesome if it was just one. That would have been awesome.
we did feeding therapy for a while, and then they advised us to take a medical break because she just kept throwing up and
It's a half hour? Okay. 10:45. to introduce myself, though. I'm Jackie.
Finally for Heather's on, and I help take care of her daughter Zoe.
How old is Zoe?
She'll be 10 in August.
Okay. Is she here?
No.
No. Okay. No.
She can't walk, so she's in a wheelchair, and she has a feeding tube. So we would have brought 2 boxes of formula, 2 packs of diapers, and it would have cost a lot to check all that stuff in.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if they allow the wheelchairs on the plane because she can't go without the
Yeah.
wheelchair.
Yeah.
So-
Well, and it gave you guys the opportunity to focus on this stuff too.
About a binder, what would be really helpful is to have like a health binder thing with like the growth charts, right, and that kind of like that you can when you go to a new pediatrician or doctor, you can be like, here is.
That's a good
Emma
idea.
Wilson, right? Like,
Yeah.
because
Laminate that and hand it out.
so much.
I
Yeah.
started something like that, but I never finished. But Janet's mom did a workshop at the last conference, and she talked about how she has a whole thing written up for the caregivers and specific instructions, and that inspired me to start the notebook. But I'm so busy that I never finished it.
Yeah.
So that
Understood,
app
yeah.
that I'll talk a little bit about this afternoon, that matrix. So within there, you can put any of your records that you want to upload so that you don't have to carry a binder, and you can show the doctor, and we're going to put the growth charts, so the resources that you might need with a caregiver can be there on your phone. So it's always available.
That's great. Yeah.
You know, sometimes emergencies come up and you don't always have the binder, and you can keep medication reminders in there and all kinds of things. So it's a little work up front, but it can really save you some time down the road.
Yeah.
That's in the matrix.
Matrix. Yeah, and I'll talk about that this afternoon.
I just wanted to say hi. I didn't say hi earlier, but what's your name?
Heather.
Heather. Hi, Heather.
Hello.
She was telling me this is your aunt.
Yes.
Yeah. Zoe is your daughter. Yeah. So, well, hopefully this was helpful. Thank you for coming. Yeah.
It's an emotional conference.
It is. It is. Were you saying you went to the one in DC?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Because we live in Virginia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Gotcha.
it was close for us. We didn't have to fly. So we did
Yeah.
bring Zoe to that conference.
Right. Gotcha.
But now she's big and flying.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready to do
This
that.
might be our last one that he comes to because, yeah, flying was not enjoyable. Yeah. 2 hours was definitely our max. We were ready to get off the plane. So I understand. Yeah. Well, come on. I think they have some snacks and stuff out. Looks like.
I was starving before lunch.
Yeah. Oh, maybe I spoke too soon. Oh, hey. How are you?
Are you done?
I have to do it again. Because I have to do it twice. Because I think it went really well. Yeah?
Lovely today.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Fresh coffee and everything over at the Sky Bridge.
Okay,
And
awesome.
we'll have a half-hour break.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Rinse and repeat, right?
Rinse and repeat. That is absolutely correct. Rinse and repeat.
It wasn't too loud in that room. I was worried because we were talking and sharing and stuff, but there was no.
I mean,
Okay.
they haven't come out yet.
Okay.
So they're still.
They're going.
They're running a little behind. I mean, at some point,
Hi,
I want
Elizabeth.
to say something, but then I don't.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we have a half an hour, so.
Yeah.
If it bleeds over more than 10 minutes, I'll
Yeah.
for a minute.
Yeah. Hi, buddy.
Said she's hungry. I got a muffin out there.
Hey, bud. Good. Now I gotta do it again. It'd be awesome if it was just once. Hopefully number 2
Now you
goes.
got one under your belt.
I know. I
And plus, you know, all
Mwah.
these people are your buddies. It's like
Oh, sorry, bud.
nobody's out there trying to criticize you.
Yeah. No, it was nice. We had a lot of familiar faces in that group.
I intentionally did not. I didn't want to
Wait.
make it any worse.
Oh. He was back there. I didn't make too many eye contact.
Get two champs. Not too bad with your dad. Like when Annette's watching me play, and I know she knows all my mistakes.
Yeah.
I'd rather play
It's
with
more, I don't want
strangers.
him in there.
Right. Exactly. I don't mind with strangers because they don't necessarily know when I make a mistake.
Right. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
meant to do that.
Hmm?
You can do that. Did you year, my whole house